Goosebumps is known for its spooky tales that often leave all viewers on edge, and The Girl Who Cried Monster is no exception. Based on the R L Stine book of the same name, this episode revolves around Lucy, a young girl with a knack for telling wild stories. After a visit to the local library, Lucy begins to suspect that her librarian, Mr. Mortman, is not quite what he seems. She believes he's a monster in disguise, but no one takes her seriously until she discovers the terrifying truth. The episode is a classic blend of suspense, humor, and horror, all hallmarks of the Goosebumps series. The pacing is tight, with the tension building slowly as Lucy's suspicions grow. The writing does a great job of establishing the mystery while keeping viewers guessing about Mr. Mortman's true nature. The twist is satisfying, though it may be predictable for older viewers, it still delivers a nice scare in the final act. The acting, particularly from the young lead, is solid, and the show's direction effectively balances the eerie atmosphere with moments of light-heartedness. The setting, primarily the library and the spooky neighborhood, adds to the creepy charm of the episode. The creature design for the monster at the end, while not groundbreaking, is still fun in its campy 90s way. However, some may find the episode a bit repetitive, as Lucy's efforts to convince others of the threat feel drawn out at times. Additionally, the humor may not always land, as it occasionally veers into cheesy territory. But this is all part of the show's nostalgic appeal. Overall, The Girl Who Cried Monster is a strong, enjoyable entry in the Goosebumps series. It's a perfect mix of thrills and fun, with a memorable twist that will stick with you long after the credits roll. Whether you're revisiting it for nostalgia or watching it for the first time, it's a must-see for fans of Goosebumps. In the Goosebumps episode, The Girl Who Cried Monster, the plot follows a young girl named Lucy who has a habit of telling tall tales and making up stories to amuse herself and her friends. She particularly enjoys playing pranks on her family. But when she claims that the local librarian, Mr. Mortman, is a monster, no one believes her. After an encounter with Mr. Mortman in the library, Lucy begins to notice strange things about him, like his odd behavior and the way he seems to disappear into the shadows. She becomes convinced that Mr. Mortman is actually a terrifying creature who feeds on children. Lucy tries to warn others, but they dismiss her claims as another one of her wild stories. As the episode progresses, Lucy becomes more determined to prove that Mr. Mortman is a monster. She finally uncovers the truth when she witnesses him transform into a hideous creature, revealing that he truly is a monster. The twist comes when Lucy, who has been known for fabricating stories, finds herself in a real-life monster situation, and she must use her wits to escape. In the end, Lucy manages to expose Mr. Mortman's true nature, but she learns a valuable lesson about telling the truth and not playing pranks at the expense of others. The episode ends with a creepy, suspenseful conclusion, leaving viewers with a sense of both closure and lingering unease. The Girl Who Cried Monster is a standout episode in the Goosebumps series for several reasons. 1. Clever twist on a classic theme. The episode plays with the old adage, "The boy who cried wolf," but with a fresh twist. Instead of a boy, it's a girl, Lucy, whose habit of telling tall tales and playing pranks causes everyone to dismiss her warnings, even when she's telling the truth. This dynamic creates tension, as the viewer starts to question whether Lucy is imagining things or if there's really a monster at play. The twist at the end, when Lucy proves her claims to be true, is satisfying and memorable. 2. Strong character development. Lucy is a relatable protagonist, and her development throughout the episode adds depth to the story. At first, she's a mischievous troublemaker who is prone to exaggeration. However, as the mystery unravels and she uncovers the truth about Mr. Mortman, she learns the importance of being taken seriously and how her actions have consequences. This growth, makes her a more sympathetic character by the end. 3. Atmospheric setting. The library, with its shadowy corners and quiet, eerie ambience, provides the perfect backdrop for a Goosebumps story. It's a familiar setting that becomes increasingly unsettling as the mystery of Mr. Mortman unfolds. The episode does a great job of using this setting to create tension and give the viewer a sense of unease, particularly in the scenes where Lucy explores the library alone. 4. Pacing and suspense. The episode does an excellent job of building suspense. As Lucy investigates and pieces together clues about Mr. Mortman's true nature, the tension rises steadily. The pacing allows the viewer to feel Lucy's frustration as she's ignored by adults, heightening the stakes when the danger becomes real. This sense of growing threat culminates in a final act that delivers both thrills and chills. 5. A satisfying, if predictable, ending. While the twist may be obvious to older viewers, it still provides a fun and satisfying resolution for younger audiences. The moment when Mr. Mortman's monstrous form is revealed is effectively creepy, and Lucy's triumph over him brings the story full circle. The ending also leaves a slight moral lesson about the consequences of dishonesty, making it more than just a standard monster tale. 6. Nostalgic charm. The episode encapsulates the Goosebumps vibe with its blend of horror, humor, and campy fun. The acting, especially from the lead actress, is solid for the show's target demographic, and the creature design, while not groundbreaking, has that perfect 90s charm that makes it memorable for fans of the series. The Girl Who Cried Monster is a good Goosebumps episode because it delivers on suspense, character development, and a twist that resonates with its audience. It combines the thrill of a monster story with a relatable lesson about honesty, making it both entertaining and impactful. The Goosebumps episode, The Girl Who Cried Monster, is generally faithful to the R L Stine book, though there are some minor differences and adaptations for the television format. Here's a breakdown of how the episode compares to the book. 1. Main plot and characters. The core storyline in the episode closely follows the events of the book. Lucy, a young girl who enjoys telling tall tales, suspects that the local librarian, Mr. Mortman, is a monster in disguise. She is ignored by adults, who dismiss her claims as another of her pranks, until she eventually uncovers the truth. This key plot element, as well as the twist ending, are directly adapted from the book. 2. Characterization of Lucy. In both the book and the episode, Lucy is portrayed as mischievous and prone to exaggerating, which makes it difficult for others to believe her when she reveals that Mr. Mortman is a monster. However, the book delves a little more into Lucy's internal thoughts and motivations, providing more insight into her sense of frustration and her desire to be taken seriously. The TV episode captures much of this, but due to time constraints, it doesn't explore her character in quite as much depth as the book does. Moondrum Murder, Mortman's Monster. Reveal. The reveal of Mr. Mortman's monstrous true identity is nearly identical in both the episode and the book. In both versions, Lucy discovers that Mr. Mortman is a hideous creature who feeds on children, and this discovery plays a pivotal role in the climax. The creature design in the episode, while effective in its own right, differs slightly from how Mr. Mortman is described in the book. In the book, his transformation is more detailed and described in a slightly more grotesque way, while the episode uses more practical effects with a less intense appearance. Changes for TV format. As with many adaptations, there are some minor tweaks to fit the format of a 22-minute TV episode. For example, the book's opening. The book starts with Lucy talking about her habit of making up stories in more detail, and it takes a bit longer to establish her backstory. The episode condenses this into a quicker setup to get into the action more quickly. The ending. The ending in the episode is similar to the book, but is wrapped up slightly faster. In the book, there's a bit more of an aftermath scene where Lucy reflects on the experience, whereas the episode ends on a more abrupt note. 5. Tone and atmosphere. The tone in both the book and episode is quite similar, blending light-hearted moments with creepy, suspenseful scenes. The library setting is integral to both versions, providing a backdrop that feels safe at first, but becomes more ominous as the mystery unfolds. While the book spends more time on the eerie descriptions of the library and the growing unease, the episode uses visual effects, lighting, and sound design to quickly establish the atmosphere. 6. The role of the other characters. In both versions, Lucy's family and friends dismiss her warnings, which adds to her frustration. However, the TV show has to streamline this a bit more due to time constraints. Some of the secondary characters from the book are not as developed in the episode, but their role in dismissing Lucy's claims is still there. The episode is a fairly faithful adaptation of R L Stine's The Girl Who Cried Monster, retaining the key plot points, character arcs, and the central twist. The changes are mostly related to pacing and the limitations of TV production, but they don't detract from the overall effectiveness of the story. Fans of the book will find much to enjoy in the episode, though they might miss some of the book's more detailed descriptions and character development. That said, the episode does a great job of translating the eerie atmosphere and suspenseful tone of the original book to the screen. While The Girl Who Cried Monster is a strong episode in the Goosebumps series, there are a few improvements that could make it even more effective, especially in terms of pacing, atmosphere, and character development. 1. Deeper character development for Lucy. In the episode, Lucy's characterization as a mischievous prankster is clear, but her internal conflict and personal growth could be fleshed out more. In the book, Lucy's frustration and desire to be taken seriously are explored in greater detail, and this aspect could be emphasized in the episode. A few additional scenes where Lucy's emotions are more clearly conveyed could enhance her character arc, making her transformation from a prankster to a more mature and responsible individual feel more earned. 2. More tension building and atmosphere. 1 of the strengths of the Goosebumps books is how they build tension gradually, often relying on eerie descriptions to create a sense of dread. While the episode uses lighting and sound to establish atmosphere, it could have benefited from more suspenseful moments where Lucy slowly uncovers clues about Mr. Mortman's true nature. For example, showing more scenes of Lucy's investigations, like her searching through the library or noticing small, unsettling details, would help ramp up the unease, making the eventual reveal of the monster even more chilling. 3. More visual and narrative detail in the transformation scene. The scene where Mr. Mortman transforms into a monster is a key moment in the episode, but it could have been made more impactful. The creature design is serviceable, but more time could be spent on the transformation process, which in the book is described in more detail and with a sense of grotesque horror. A longer, more disturbing transformation could have increased the tension and made the payoff more satisfying. 4. Stronger secondary characters. The adults and other characters in the episode, like Lucy's family and the librarian, could be given a bit more depth. In the episode, they mostly serve as obstacles to Lucy's investigation, dismissing her claims because of her history of making up stories. Expanding on their personalities or motivations, maybe showing how they, too, are affected by the creepy library setting or providing some emotional stakes for them, would make the world feel more lived in and increase the sense of isolation Lucy feels. 5. A more climactic ending. The episode's ending, while satisfying, feels a bit rushed. After Lucy's discovery of the monster, the tension drops quickly as she escapes. Extending the final confrontation with Mr. Mortman would allow for a more climactic resolution. Perhaps Lucy could be placed in more immediate danger, requiring her to outsmart the monster or even enlist the help of others to defeat it. A more drawn-out final sequence would give the viewer a greater payoff after the suspenseful build-up. 6. Improved monster design. While the monster design is not bad, it could have been made more visually striking and terrifying. The creature's appearance is a bit underwhelming compared to the more vivid descriptions in the book. A more grotesque or unique design could have made the reveal more shocking and memorable. The design could also be more dynamic, showing off elements of the monster's disguise, perhaps blending in human features that are eerily off, before fully revealing its monstrous form. 7. Incorporating more of the book's details. While the episode sticks closely to the core events of the book, it could benefit from incorporating some of the book's smaller details that add depth to the plot. For instance, the book has more scenes that show Lucy actively trying to warn others, giving the viewer more insight into how her peers and family respond to her. This builds up her sense of isolation and frustration, which could be more apparent in the episode. 8. A stronger moral message. The Goosebumps books often have a moral or lesson that resonates with the reader, and this episode touches on the idea that playing pranks and exaggerating can lead to being ignored when something serious happens. The episode could have spent a little more time reinforcing this message, perhaps with a brief scene at the end where Lucy reflects on the consequences of her actions. Overall, it is a recommended watch.